participate and join. We want to get right to it. So let's just go to the next slide, please. Want to acknowledge and welcome some of our many supporters here via this slide. We're grateful for those who are helping us behind the scenes with positive support and reinforcement. Next. I also want to recognize, before we go into the companies here, my staff who've been working diligently on this. Special thanks to Colette Cox and Reese Thompson, who've been leading the charge in this effort. So well done. As you'll see today, they've been working with each company, each participant, helping them prepare, rehearse, and prepare for this in general. So big thanks to them, as well as our student innovation scholars, Leo and Ricardo Lupiano, and specifically have been working tirelessly to put this all together and to do valuable, important research to help our companies grow. So thank you guys for your efforts today. Today, you'll be seeing 6 outstanding companies or contestants in our competition. OxySwitch, Loaded Locks, and so forth. You can see their names there. All exciting, and you'll be amazed with the work that they have to show you today. So six contestants you'll be hearing from today. Next. And we're thrilled this time to offer 3 prizes, cash prizes. This is the first time for us. We're grateful to our private donors who've generously given up their means to help us offer these cash prizes to our first, second, and third place winners. The first place winner also gets, in addition to cash, free 6 months lease in our incubator office space. So you'll be right here in the middle of our ecosystem, have access to all of our resources and our staff, and be a part of the team. So we're excited to offer that as well. And then the cash prizes. So again, special thanks to our private sponsor donors who wanted to remain anonymous. We appreciate their support. Thank you. Next slide. Okay, so without further ado, we'll turn it over to OxySwitch, our first team. Go ahead, OxySwitch. Oh, I should say, sorry, before. So as you watch the presentations, at the end of each presenter will have 5 minutes to give their pitch, followed by a 5-minute segment for questions. If you have a question, please post that in the chat window. We'll be monitoring those questions and then ask those questions on your behalf. Once the 5-minute question round is over, we'll transition to the next team and so forth. At the end of the 6th presentation and questions, we'll open a voting round where each person in the audience can vote. And then after votes are tallied, we will identify the winners. So 5 minutes pitch, 5 minutes questions. Please post your questions in the chat, and then we'll progress from there. So thank you. Over to you, OxySwitch.
Oh. Did I lose you guys? Nope. There it is. Okay, hi. Okay, so I'm Majera Winch, and I am one of the inventors for OxySwitch. And I am a respiratory therapist here at the Intermountain Healthcare Hospital in St. George. And our goal with this is just to make oxygen delivery safer for our caregivers and our patients alike. Next. There it is. Okay. All right. So I'm going to paint a quick picture for you guys. So I had a time when I was working in the ER where we had a little 3-year-old come in, and she had swallowed a weed and it got stuck in her throat. And so we had to sedate her and put her to sleep to, help us to get down there easier. And every time we would go down to get it, she would stop breathing and her oxygen would dip super low and she'd start turning blue. And usually we have just like a cannula in the nose for these kinds of things, but I'd have to hurry and take it off of the oxygen and switch it to the bag and get the bag on her and bag her until she started breathing again. And then as soon as she'd start breathing again, I'd have to switch it back to the nasal cannula so the doctor could do it all again. And it was just a really hard situation to be in. And so that's one of the reasons why I created the OxySwitch. Next. So a lot of people that come into the ER require oxygen. About 30% would crash without it. And so the OxySwitch is really cool. It has a side port and a bottom port, and it's designed to be able to attach it to bubblers on the bottom, humidifier, as well as the side port is a little bit better for connecting masks to, or the ambulatory bags for just any kind of mostly critical care ICU, but it can be used everywhere. And it's critical to have oxygen available to our patients. There's a lot of different things that oxygen deprivation can cause with patients. Many of them require constant flow in order to maintain healthy levels, which is about 90% or greater. And providing it can be really difficult when you're switching between the different devices because you have to momentarily completely remove it from the oxygen to switch it over. And so the OxySwitch is just a really simple solution to help fix this. So here you can see two pictures. On the left, this is the OxySwitch connected to a flow meter, which is pretty basic for oxygen connection in any hospital room. The picture on the right, there's a humidifier and a mask connected to the bottom port, while the side port has an ambulatory bag connected to it, which is kind of more used for ER, ICU, critical care, different things like that. So at an estimated $10 sales price and with a $3 cost price, we estimated a net profit of 20%, which I'm told is a good profit. Obviously, our numbers are relative to how many units are sold and how many facilities use them. We are confident in the use of OxySwitch. There's a pretty decent market for it, and we know that it's going to be very useful to them. So we have a design patent granted. We have a utility patent that's pending currently, and our FDA approval is in the process currently. So this is my team. Dr. Provost is my co-inventor. He is the director of the Innovation Guidance and Solutions there at Atwood Innovation Center. Our CEO and manager is Rodney Shutt. He does a lot of great work for us. One of our other teammates and advisors is Jeff Stewart, who's done a lot for us. And then Rusty Hamarillo is our engineer. And then we have a couple other teammates, Steve Savage and the late Lindsay Atwood, who have helped us to make this a possibility. Next. So what are we asking for? So we are right at the stage where we're ready to look into getting our products soft molded and patient trialed. And so we've estimated a cost of about $75,000 to get that into process, and a total of about $200,000 to finish this product. What we're looking for is completion and continuation of filing our utility patent, which is pending, and also the design and basically getting that up for the patient trials, as well as finishing up our FDA clearance. And we also are looking to find connections to medical facilities that would allow us to do our patient trials. So I am ready for questions from everybody. Thanks.
Hey, Colette, do you have any questions from the audience?
No, I don't have any.
Say again, no questions from the audience? It looks like there's one from Jeff Stewart.
About bench to bedside. So we competed with this product at the University of Utah's innovation competition they do up north. It's called Bench to Bedside. And out of all of, I think it was 100 teams, I can't quite remember, but out of them, OxySwitch came into the finals of the top 10 teams. And it was a really great opportunity. We got to meet some really, really cool people that had some unique connections that were really fun. And it was just a good experience all around, because it was the first year that DSU was invited to compete in bench to bedside. And so I feel like we set a pretty good standard for the quality of products that come out of our school.
Thank you. So I have a couple questions, just since we have some time here. Have you spoken to other care providers about this concept, and what have they said?
So we actually presented OxySwitch to the Intermountain Healthcare hospitals, all of their top people, as well as their respiratory team, and they were really enthusiastic about it. Not a day goes by as a respiratory therapist that I don't wish that I had this device. It would make my job so much easier and so much safer for my patients. And a lot of the respiratory therapists, respiratory managers, just all of the people that got to see it and experience it had really enthusiastic, happy things to say about it, because it's such a simple device, but it creates such an easy solution to a big problem that we have.
Great, thank you, Colette. Do you want to cover some questions in the group chat?
Sure. We've got one from Rodney. He asks, the current solution only allows a single oxygen source, and oxygen switch, and OxySwitch allows two, correct?
Correct. So the way that it kind of works is that normally the flow meter just has the one flow option that comes off the bottom. OxySwitch just provides for two separate ones. We were asked about like a third port on the other side, but human error was a real big concern. We wanted to make this device safe to use. And so it does have just two flow options, and you can only use one at a time, but that's okay, because usually you're just needing to switch between two devices at a time, and you can switch them out as you need. So it makes it a lot simpler so that people don't get confused.
Thank you. And then we have two questions from Trent. He asks, what is your post-money valuation on the 200K?
For like after we use that, like where we're going with it.
Hi, Majid. It's Rod. It's Rod.
Oh,
I can probably jump in on this one.
Yeah, thank you.
So we're looking at somewhere between 2 and 3 million. So as we're finalizing the valuation, the 200,000 we think is going to be somewhere between 10 and 15% of the company.
And also, when do you think you'll have a ship-ready product?
I would say probably Q2. I mean, if we get funding and we get going right away, Q2 probably at the earliest of 2021. I would think the latest Q3.
Okay, great. We have just over a minute left. I have another question. Do you foresee this being used in any other clinical settings outside the ER or the ICU?
Yeah, so the other thing that's really cool about the OxySwitch is it is compatible with oxygen tanks. It can be hooked to them if needed, which is really cool because it makes it really useful for transportation. There's a use for it in life flight and ambulances. Honestly, even home care could have some options for it. It really can be adapted for a very wide use.
Great, thank you. And let's see, one more question popped up. Will this device require FDA approval? From Gary Smith.
So we are planning on FDA clearance. We've talked to the people for the FDA approval before now, and they're pretty sure that we'll be Class 1 exempt when we get our FDA approval through. Our OxySwitch is non-invasive. It doesn't directly touch the patient or enter anything, so it should be anyways a pretty easy clearance device.
It's an FDA Class 1 exempt is basically just a notification to the FDA. So it's a pretty straightforward, simple process.
Okay, well done. Thank you. That wraps up the presentation time and question time.
Thank you.
So thank you for your presentation. We'll next go to our number 2 presenter, Loaded Locks. You're up.
All right, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yep, gotcha.
Perfect. All right, well, thank you and welcome. I would like to introduce you to Loaded Locks. Loaded Locks is focused on striving to make your home and life safer in one purchase. Next. Who are we? I'm Connor Brooksby. I'm a 20-year-old young driven entrepreneur who was born and raised here in Southern Utah. I've been working on Loaded Locks since junior year of high school. Next. Currently, each year in the US, nearly 350 children under the age of 17 gain access to a firearm and unintentionally kill or injure someone else. Since March of 2020, this has increased 43%. As we've seen with the pandemic and the lockdown, firearm sales have skyrocketed, as well as time spent in the home for children and other young teenagers. This stat on the right shows that gun violence continues amid lockdowns. That's not only gun violence, that's also suicides, and that's also unintentional incidents. Next. Currently, there are safety features and protocols. Unload, lock, and separate. These are the current protocols that are taught by everyone. But currently, we found that a lot of these protocols are not followed by the firearm community. I want to tell a story of one time that this protocol wasn't followed by a police officer. It's one that I found out while talking to a lot of people about my product. This officer had just gotten home from working a graveyard shift, so he was very tired. He took off his duty belt, laid it down on the floor, and he fell asleep. He was awoken when he heard his gun go off, and he looked down to see his 3-year-old child, who hadn't even unholstered his weapon, but had just moved it enough and the right way to end up shooting himself in the foot, causing damage to him, as well as damage to the family emotionally forever. Each one of those statistics that I showed you on the last slide is a person. Now, I'd like you to picture yourself. I'd like you to picture yourself waking up in the middle of the night, hearing your children screaming with someone in your home, having to run into your closet, open up a safe, get your gun out, then having to run to another location, open up the other safe, and get your magazine out. This is what many firearm owners find themselves in, this situation and this analogy, which is why they rarely follow this protocol. Next. Here's our product. Our product is a locking and unlocking magazine. It has 2 models. We have the mechanical and the technologized one. The mechanical model is shown in the image, where the user will mechanically, by himself, move that block up and down, allowing bullets to go into the gun or not allowing bullets to go into the gun. The technology model will be controlled via a solenoid instead of that spring and user use. That solenoid will also communicate via Bluetooth with an app on the phone. And on that app, the user will be able to designate shooting zones or non-shooting zones. Next. This is a simulation that shows how it functions. The blue thing is a bolt carrier that pushes the live rounds into the barrel, allowing the firearm to shoot a live round. By putting that block there, we are not allowing that bolt carrier to carry any live ammunition into the loading chamber, into the barrel to shoot. Next. Our target customers, they look like this guy, a family man who loves everyone close to him and wants to protect them, hence the reason he has a firearm. But like I told you with that story, I want to follow up with who I spoke to, which was that officer's lieutenant, Lieutenant Randall. He said after that incident, he would have bought every single one of his officers in his department one of these magazines because of this incident. Instead, they went and bought safes for each and every officer, which, as you saw in one of the previous slides, those are very expensive. He said he would still buy these magazines if they were out there. Our target customers have decent income and care about safety. Next. Market size, there's a total addressable market of 220 million with a compound annual growth rate of 5.7%. Our main market is self-defense. But I want you to think of a secondary market of working with gun ranges, government facilities, or any government firearms that they want more security or safety on these magazines. Next. What do we need from you? We're looking for investors, mentors to help finish prototyping, testing, get into manufacturing, and offer guidance, advice, and experience. Let's make a deal that helps both of us out and helps Loaded Locks become the safest firearm magazines in the world. Next. Here's our team. Those are our engineers. We have attorneys. We currently have a patent granted on location-based locking and unlocking magazines. There's our patent number. All right, Colby, let's open it up for questions.
All right, great. Thank you. At the beginning, I should have noted when I was recognizing everyone, you'll hear a common theme throughout many of these presentations about patents, patent pendings, all those tremendous actions that require a lot of expertise. And we have no one more to thank than with Dr. Wayne Provost. So he's where the magic happens here, and want to make sure we recognize Dr. Provost for all the patent work and so forth that we benefit from here. So thank you, Dr. Provost. Any questions as I'm talking in the chat window for Connor? Let's see, there's one from Jeff Stewart. Have you built any prototypes yet, Connor?
Yes, we have built prototypes. I'm actually holding one right here. I don't know how good you can see it on my camera, but you push in these two little pins right here. You pull this down and it locks in place. It'll lock in place, allowing that to be open, that bolt carrier can carry a bullet through. This is just a rough 3D printed one. I actually have one coming right now from my engineer up in Salt Lake. He has it built and we're testing it this weekend.
Great, thank you. What's the expected retail price, Connor?
The expected retail price, really, we haven't hit an immediate price point of that we're not confident that we're set on. It can range anywhere from $40 to $100 depending on the models. The mechanical models will obviously be cheaper due to no technology being involved in just hardware. Those will be on the lower end. And then the technology models will be on the higher end and also allow more security with it.
Great, thank you. And a question from Evan Thomas of State Bank of Southern Utah. Thanks for joining, Evan. His question is, one size fits all or only specific guns to start with?
So that's a good question. That's one of the things that we mainly will need investors for, because right now we have the AR-15 magazines. Then secondly, we'll get into Glocks. We'll go with a Glock, probably a 9mm, the most common handguns. And as we prototype, it should be simple adjustments to fit to the different magazines once you have those two down.
Great, thank you. A question from Jeff Stewart. Can an older child figure it out?
You know, that's a good question, and it'll come with more product testing of putting it in a kid's hand to figure out. We're striving to make it simple for the adult or the user to make, but we've also thought of different models that the user can kind of customize or make different models with these different safety locks down the road. So as of right now, I would say an older child, as in 12 going, could figure it out, but younger, no.
Great, thank you. And then just to follow up, Jeff Stewart asked, has it been patented yet? And I think you answered that.
Yes, we have a patent granted on it for the location-based locking and unlocking. We're going to continue to file some continuations on it for further models and things like that.
Okay, great. And then a general question. Tell us about your existing competition and who might make similar products.
Okay, so some of the existing competition, there is a product called iDent Lock, which is a biometric. It's a fingerprint lock that goes on handguns. As there are competition, one, they only market to handguns. They don't provide anything for ARs or anything like that. And we've come through a lot of our market research, we've come to find out that many people don't like technology involved with their handguns because it's their first line of defense. And a lot of them don't trust that technology. So we started out with only wanting to do the technology magazines, but then as we questioned the market, we came to find out that they want something mechanical like this that still allows them to access their gun quickly, but there's no technology in it, so it can't fail, more likely in their minds.
Okay. Thank you. And we have just about a minute left. What groups or who have you used as a feedback committee?
So many of the people that I've used are people I know. Luckily, we live in Utah where, there's a lot of gun owners. I've talked to myself probably over 100 people, and we've adjusted. And one of the groups I did talk to was I went on Reddit and I went to a hardcore firearm enthusiast page. And that's where I got the feedback of no technology involved in their guns. They really liked the feature of the mechanical safety. But then as I explained it to all the other gun owners, providing the mechanical safety feature, they also liked it. The people I've talked to, they are parents, most of them, 90% of them. and they have decent income, kind of exactly what we're targeting, care a lot about safety.
Great. Okay. Well, thank you. Well done. We're at time for your presentation and question period. So thank you. And thank you to everyone who's posting questions. If you have a question as we progress, please feel free to post it. All right. So let's go to number 3. Next slide. Our dip and dab. You're up.
Hello. Hello. Right, so I'm Deshka Olson. This is Bob Olson. Our product is No Gag Dip and Dab, which is a pharyngeal reflux suppressant. Next slide.
I've been in the dental profession for over 30 years. In dentistry, we often see patients with a sensitive or extreme gag reflex. This can make it difficult and sometimes impossible to do dental procedures such as x-rays or impressions.
Not only is it difficult for dentists, but we see this with physicians, pediatricians. If you're trying to do tongue depressions or intubations, we even see it in speech therapy with feeding tubes, and even retail. I remember a time where my sister couldn't even swallow pills. It's like, if you can swallow food, you could probably swallow a pill. So there must be some sort of physiological and neurological response to this. Next.
Over 20 years ago, I had a thought. This reflex can be suppressed. People usually don't gag when they eat. Can the brain be confused or tricked in order to suppress the gag response? I thought of the physical act of feeding oneself and placing 2 of the basic tastes combined together on the tongue, which would send a neurological response quickly to the brain. Over the past 20 years, I had 100% success with the product. We have the patient lick the tip of their finger, place it in the product, and physically place it on their own tongue to start the element of wonder and duplicate the act of feeding oneself. Responses from patients include, my whole life I've been a severe gagger and have never experienced anything like this. Another person that used the product just stared at me and said, that's mind trickery. An office that I recently gave a sample to said, No Gag Dip and Dab is the most amazing product ever. We are able to take dental impressions on people, and we were able to take impressions on a person that we were unable to take them on before. All the patients I've used the product on have been amazed.
Next slide. Now, we are well aware that we have competitors in this field, such as the sublingual tablets, the variety of sprays, and doctors and dentists even have their own hacks like pressure points, attention diversion, and even breathing techniques. But what caught the attention of the people mentioned before, and also a major dental supply company, Ultradent, who we are currently working with now, is that our product is fast acting. It works in seconds rather than minutes. It's safe for all ages, it's allergen free, and there's no doctor's consent. And when the vice president of product and development at Ultradent was evaluating our product, he said, rarely do I get surprised by products because we get hundreds of thousands of products come through on a yearly basis. But this one left him speechless, which is why we're continuing to work with them. Next. So what we're focusing on right now, our target market, our beachhead market, is dentists and hygienists. And that brings us to the total addressable market of $40 million. But in the foreseeable future, we see this as a very profitable product with our secondary markets of physicians, pediatricians, oral surgeons, and retail. Next. Now, the other major benefit of our product is the cost to manufacture is very, very cheap. So it comes out to 19 cents per DAP and dish. You can see the size of the dish on the picture there. And that includes labels, packaging, and product. And we're looking to sell it for $1 per cup, which is a very reasonable price for clinical professions. Next. We have a very reputable team behind us. Dr. Robert Olson has been in the dentist and endodontist field for over 30 years, and he's been actually using this product for 20 years. And then we have Dr. Wayne Provost, who is also in the dental profession. He's also an advisor, mentor, and investor, and he also specializes in patent production. And then myself, who's pushing product design, and business. Next. So what we're seeking from you all is somebody who has expertise in market and sales to gain a foothold in our secondary markets. Right now, we are looking for an investor in $15,000 US patent protection for a global patent. Our deadline for our filing patent is December 30th. So that's coming up for us, but we are patent pending right now. And we are looking for a licensing deal to connect us to companies that will license, manufacture, and distribute our products. Next. So thank you all for your time, and let us know if you have any questions. We look forward to working with you in the future.
Okay, great. We have one question. Would this be for every patient or just those who have a propensity for gagging?
That's a great question. Just not every patient needs it, but for those that have are very, very sensitive to gagging. So it's not for every patient, but it's for those patients that have it that has really changed the way we can perform things.
We also have been discussing if it were a requirement going into the dentist's office, just because people have like dental anxiety going into the office. So if you had that, that would decrease their anxiety of potential embarrassment or lack of cooperation.
Great, okay. Tell us a little bit more about your relationship with Ultradent.
So they've been evaluating our product for the past 3 months, I believe, and they've had success with it thus far, and they're very interested. And we just got an email yesterday that they are still interested, and they're looking forward to working with us in the future and talking business for the next steps.
Great, great, thank you. Still have some time, so I have a couple questions. Are the compounds that make up the powder, are they allergic to any type of patient, or what's the danger there?
No, it's all over-the-counter substances, so it's allergen-free. It's safe for everybody.
Okay, thank you. Are there any lasting sensations or potential side effects from use?
Nope, none at all.
Great, let's see. Why do you have patients place it on their own tongue?
Well, that's a very good question, because I've had, just when we feed ourselves, just the act of getting the brain set up, plus I've had patients come in that have had such a severe gag reflex that even for us, I do root canal, so I have a rubber dam, pull the rubber dam to the side, and even just to get the saliva ejector in there, they just start heaving. But I place that in their hand, and he can put it basically as far down his throat as he wants it. So I thought is the act of setting up the brain to wonder what's going on.
Great, thank you. Let me just check the time here. Okay, a couple more. Let's see. How big is the demand for this product?
It's looking statistically through probably about 7% of the patients that come through the dental office have a gag reflex that would require.
Okay, and then how did you come up with the name?
Oh, it's really a good question. So the original name was just Dip and Dab, because we have the patient lick the tip of their finger, dip it in the product, and dab it on the tip of their tongue. And so I just called it Dip and Dab. I had a patient come in that was a very, very severe gagger, and gave him the product, and he just stared at me, wanted to know what was in it, and I couldn't tell him that, and he says, this has to go somewhere. And he says, what do you call it? I said, Dip and Dab. And he says, well, no, I'm in advertising. I would trade my bill with you to work with you on this. You need to name it what it is, and it's no gag, because I did not gag.
Creative. Okay. Let's see. One more minute. One more question here. How are you separating the primary beachhead market from the secondary market?
Looks like Jeff has this question as well.
Oh yeah. Which one do you want to answer? Do you want to answer Jess first? Are you looking for is 15K? Is that what you're looking for right now?
Yes, for the global patent and the US patent, we are looking for that because we want to make a licensing deal. So that's very necessary for our licensing deal to have that patent protection.
Okay, let's see. And what share would that get if someone were to invest 15,000?
I think Doc is going to answer this one.
Go ahead, Doc.
Doc's going to answer it. Thank you. Yeah, 15% be negotiable about the percentage. I mean, 15,000 be negotiable on the percentage. We haven't capped this product yet. We don't know the value of it as far as what on a licensing agreement. We're shooting for a license at 6% of gross sales. But that doesn't answer your question. So right now, we really don't know. That's up to the individual who wants to put up to 15,000, and it's negotiable.
Okay, great. Well, thank you. We're at time. Thank you for the questions, Rodney. Maybe we could follow up separately on that one. Thank you, Deshka and Bob.
Thank you.
Good job. All right, so let's go to number 4. Pull up number 4 slide there. Shoo-Noise. Go ahead, you're up.
Hi, my name is Barry Erickson. I'm the inventor of Shoo-Noise. Oh, keep going, Colette, sorry. That sound familiar to anybody? I know it did because that was my washer, or that was actually my dryer. So what is Shoo-Noise? Are you tired of stinky, dirty shoes? The banging around that happens with the dryer especially. And actually, if you heard at the end of that clip, there was that little bit of a whine. That was actually the shoe stopping the drum and the belt starting to whine a little bit, which then potentially causes a fire hazard. As well as with the purchase of a washer and dryer, most people, couples who do that, it's a big investment. If you buy a washer and dryer set, especially most the cheaper ones are $1,000, anywhere up to $2,500, even $3,000 I've seen if you get the higher end. So it's an investment for most people for that. And then as well as, prices of shoes. There are a lot of people who go out, I know especially sports and athletes, they go out and a lot of times their shoes can be $150, $200 for a pair of shoes. So it's definitely an investment that they have. Next slide. So what Shoo-Noise does is, if you can see on the video in the corner, is that you just place the shoes on the base, you strap them in. The bottom of the base has 6 magnets, and then what you do is you place them on opposite sides of the washer as well as the dryer. And what that does is it actually eliminates the noise, but most important, the centrifugal force of the washer, or the circle as it goes around inside the washer, helps to actually spin out a lot of the water, because generally the shoes sit at the bottom of the washer, and so when you pull them out, they're usually still kind of wet. So it actually speeds up the time when you put them in the dryer. You don't have to put them in as long, you don't have to put the heat on as high, so it definitely makes it a much easier and much more pleasant way of washing and drying shoes. Next slide. So the other products out on the market, you can see the first on the left is the typical, everybody goes out and has to hand wash their shoes, as well as the high-end dryer we talked about in washers. They have a certain little slot that you can put them in, as well as there's other aftermarket products that people can buy for some of the higher-end dryers. I was looking for them. Not every dryer has it. It's not a universal shelf that can be placed. And then the one on the end is actually as a nurse. That's most disgusting to me is the fact that somebody put their shoes in a dishwasher, but they do what they got to do. Next slide. So this is a picture before and after of the product. This is actually my sister's shoes. So with this, on the left, you can see it was my nephew's, shoes that she did. And then on the right is what happened after she put them in the washer and dryer. Next slide. So with this, we're also including with the purchase of a mesh bag. As you can see as the video is rolling, the purpose of this is to many different things: pet parents, parents who have young kids for washing of toys, pet toys, especially little socks, shoes that can be lost. The socks in the washer and dryer. No, I have kids and I've lost them. The washer has eaten them, couldn't find them. As well as for women to use for bras, as well as hosiery for things that are delicate. My sister actually was telling me about, you know, bras can be expensive and then they can also get stretched and damaged in the washer. So it's a point for that, as well as the face masks that we're all using for protection of COVID, that they can be placed in that to use so that it helps to, again, not lose the mask, because I've had to go searching for the ones in my washer when I didn't do it. So next slide. So the target market we have, again, parents, especially parents of athletes, usually moms for that, outdoor enthusiasts, medical professionals, shoe enthusiasts, especially people who buy the, you know, Jordans, the expensive Nikes. You know, I've talked to people who have bought those shoes that will not put them in a washer or dryer because they do not want them damaged, as again, well as pet parents. So the total addressable is, you know, 3.6 billion, and then the compound annual growth rate at about 2.5%. Next slide. So the manufacturing is actually, the base is made in St. George. The magnets and straps are imported. Currently, I have roughly 350 pairs, between 350 and 400 pairs assembled in my garage. So this is the quintessential garage small business entrepreneur. A manufacturing cost, we're working on trying to bring that down, but roughly $25 a pair. Pricing right now is $49.95, which has a lifetime guarantee on the base. And then that includes the mesh bags. Next slide. So what we're asking for with this is about a roughly $100,000 investment, $70,000 for, you know, manufacturing and scaling, as well as $30,000 for online marketing and sales, marketing and sales partners for as well, and then manufacturing expertise, trying to help again to bring down the manufacturing costs. Currently, the name Shoo-Noise has been trademarked and the patent is pending for the product. Next slide. Oh, that's it. As a note, I'm actually currently right now, I stepped back to do this. We are at a convention and an expo that they're doing. And I had one lady today, as I was explaining it to her, she bought them. She is actually a emergency room tech. Her husband is an emergency room registered nurse. And they are actually bought a pair because they say that generally they wash their shoes every day when they go and see patients because of all the things that they're exposed to, as well as my dental hygienist. I also bought a pair because, again, dentists and dental hygienists, as they're doing their work, tend to get a lot of splashes of body fluid on them, as well as their shoes. So this is, you know, market open for, you know, many different professions. And again, for anybody to use for, as a side note, for doing the mesh bag with the lingerie, toys, or anything else that, you know, is delicate that they don't want to lose, and then also to eliminate the noise. So thanks for your consideration.
Okay, great. Thank you, Barry. We went a little bit over time, so we'll take some time from the questions, but well done. First question from Joshua Akins. Does it work the same way for a vertical spinning washer?
It does. So what you have to do is, instead of, because I have a front loader, so you stick it in like this, a vertical, you just stick it like that with the opening of the shoe being at the bottom, and then it spins. The only thing that we found potentially is that there are some washers that are aluminum, so it won't work in the washer, but I tell people you can still use it in the dryer, because that's usually the most pain point for people, is the noise in the dryer. But it can work, and I have used it in an upright washer.
Great. Thank you. Some other questions. You mentioned you're currently working on identifying ways to bring your price down. Is this based on customer feedback?
Well, the price point is set for doing it, but we're trying to bring down the cost of manufacturing for doing it. That's the thing that we're working on the most, is just trying to get the supplies to do it. So that's kind of where we're at. But the price point we have set is what we, as we asked a bunch of people and did some surveys, that was a doable price point at that, especially when we told them that it had a lifetime guarantee on the base.
Great. Thank you. See, another question. Have you found the device to slide off during the cycle at all during the high speeds?
Actually, that's a great question. As I went through and we spent, this has been over 4 years of trying to help, and Dr. Provost, hat off to you. Thank you for your assistance with this. Actually, each base has 6 25-pound magnets, so a total pull force of 150 pounds. It doesn't come off. It doesn't come off.
Great. Great.
The only
Thank
thing
you.
actually we've ever had is that if you don't strap the shoes, because most people think that, and again, I've done this as I was trying it, if you don't strap the shoes down and secure them, I've actually opened the door on my washer and my shoes are in the bottom of the washer, but the bases are attached to the side because the shoe slipped out of the straps.
Great. Another question. Are you using rare earth magnets? If so, how many?
I am. So I'm using neodymium rare earth magnets. Like I said, they're 25-pound magnets and there's 6 on each base. So a total of 12 for the set.
Thank you. Just about another minute left. Let's see, given that you have existing customers, what have they told you about your device? What have the responses been like?
The responses have actually been really positive, for people that have had it. I mean, my website's up and going. I've had friends, buy them and try them, and they've, given back testimonials that, again, they were able to quickly wash and dry shoes. I had one particular friend who her son does soccer, and they, when they do a lot of traveling for it, they actually put the bag in the trunk of their car, because the smell, she says, she just can't handle being in the car. So she said for her, they wash them, and again, it quickly washes and dries them or cleans them. And then, it takes care of that. So, because again, her son's a teenager with smelly feet.
Great. Okay, well done. Thank you. We will transition to our next presenter.
Thank you.
And just to note that if you do have follow-on questions, we will be having an opportunity for breakout rooms at the conclusion of the competition. Thank you. Team number 5, Touch-Free O2. You're up.
There we are. I'm Sid Rodabaugh, the CEO of Touch-Free O2. Touch-Free O2 is a unique product. There is really no competition for it. Oxygen, there are patients who need oxygen. We talked about oxygen a little earlier. Oxygen is a necessity for life. You can live a month without food. You can live a week without water. You only live about 5 minutes without oxygen. There are many reasons for supplemental oxygen to be required. The 2 main reasons are lung problems and heart problems. Slide 1. There we are. The difficulty with the traditional methods of getting oxygen to clients, which are cannulas and masks, are that they, number 1, cause problems. You get sore ears, you get a sore nose. But the thing that really sparked us in trying to develop this was that there are patients who can't use a cannula or a mask. If you have a patient who has dementia, they immediately rip off the mask. If a patient has claustrophobia, it just doesn't work for them. And it doesn't work well for children and infants. Now, the dementia patients were the things that first caught our attention. And you can't keep even clothing on some dementia patients. So they rip off that mask, but they need the mask. Next slide. The answer came with the touch-free streamer. It's an oxygen system that uses 2 tubes pointing to the patient's face, providing oxygen through a very low but precise velocity. Now, number 1, there is no cannula, so you don't get a sore nose or sore ears. Number 2, this is designed for the patient while they're at rest. So they sleep comfortably all night. There's no taking off the cannula because there is no cannula. There's no tangling or misplacement of the tubing. And it benefits the caregiver. If you have a patient who has dementia, they can't sleep, the brain is designed to wake a person up if they're not getting oxygen. So they wake up, they get out, the caregiver has to take care of them. And so the caregiver, using our system, gets a better night's sleep, and the patient has a better day the next day. Next. You know, the market is huge. In the United States, it's estimated that they have 2 to 3 million oxygen patients. And this oxygen system works on all of those patients as long as they're not higher than 4 liters. The market is growing. The market, particularly with this COVID situation, we've had 9 million people get COVID at this time. Before we have a vaccine available for the general public, there's probably going to be another 9 million people that have had this. Now, COVID is considered to be a pre-existing condition for heart and lungs. We don't know as yet exactly how bad that's going to be, how common that's going to be, but we will be finding out soon. Our target market is people over 60, who most oxygen patients are. However, there is a large number of people with dementia, and particularly children, who need oxygen. This gets oxygen to them when they won't take care of oxygen themselves. Next. This is our oxygen team. We've manufactured several of these. We have 10 at the present time. We found that we can manufacture them for $70. We believe that you can do $80 for distribution on them, leaving you a gross profit of about $150 with a $300 price point. I'm the CEO. I was an attorney for 30 years. I've co-founded Sound Oxygen Service, which is the fastest growing oxygen company in the state of Washington. Ken Kenyon is our vice president. He's been in the business for 25 years. He co-founded Home Safe Oxygen, which he sold to Lincare, and he co-founded with me Sound Oxygen Service. Our engineer is Ed Dittmar. Ed Dittmar worked for Rocket Research for a number of years and is an expert in gas and liquid movements. He also taught manufacturing engineering at Brigham Young University for 10 years.
Hey, Sid, just to interrupt briefly, we're over time. If you could get to your ask, perhaps.
Our scenario, thank you. We would like to sell or license our patent. It is patented at this time. That's been completed. As you can see by looking at our team, we're a well-seasoned team. And we would like to be able to move on with our lives. Ed Dittmar was on the U.S. Olympic ski team 60 years ago, and he wants to do more skiing. We'd like to, the second scenario is we'd like to raise capital to hire a team, get a new CEO, and marketing and sales team. Thank you. Questions?
Okay, great. Thank you. We'll jump right to it. What about those people who sleep on their side? How would this help or hurt
Great
them?
question. We have the tubes coming from each side, forming a bolus around the mouth and nose. Because they come from each side, if you roll to one side or the other, you're still getting one stream, and the other stream is coming around and hitting the side of your face. And if you're familiar with the Bernoulli effect, which is what makes an airplane fly, it'll trace right around the face to the mouth and nose also. So they're still getting the full effect, whether they're on one side or the other or on their back.
Great, thank you. That seems to address a couple of questions in the chat window, people that shift during sleep or so forth. Let's see, another question. Marjorie, let's see, she says that she feels like it would be hard to provide a specific FiO2 with this. Is it mostly for people needing a low flow of oxygen? Or it seems like the mixed air from the room would greatly affect the amount of O2 being received?
Number one, we have tested it multiple times with an oxygen analyzer to the area around the mouth and nose where the bullets of oxygen comes, which is between 35 and 40%, which will give anybody with a oxygen need, with a prescription for oxygen at 2 liters or 3 liters, all of the oxygen that they will need. Now, 2 liters and 3 liters account for about 95% of oxygen patients.
Okay. Great, thank you, Sid. And as I noted last time, we'll have some breakout rooms at the end for people who have follow-on questions as well. So
Okay.
Thank you, Sid, well done. Let's jump to our final presenter, Phil Drinks. And at the conclude, I ask everyone, I know we're short on time. We want to make sure they get their full allotted time, and then we will jump right into the vote. So please hang with us. Go ahead, Phil Drinks.
Okay, my name is Braden Bringhurst.
And I'm Devin Dixon.
And we're Phil Drinks. So next slide. So what does every Utahn love? Soft drinks, right? You can see this in the soda explosion we've seen in the last 5 to 10 years. But what does every Utahn not love? Being overcharged and inconvenienced. So the average student at Dixie State campus will spend around $2 for one drink. And with that, they don't have much variety in healthy options or options in general. If they want to find a reasonably priced drink, they have to drive off of campus to get it. And if they want to find that variety in those options, they have to go to a specialty shop where they'll be waiting in a long line of cars and spending $3 to $5 for just one drink. Not to mention with all of that, there's a huge amount of waste in the straws, lids, and cups that are thrown away every day. Next slide.
So our solution is subscription-based drinks. So we have sports drinks, flavored waters, sparkling waters. And so basically we have a lot of 0-calorie and low sugar options. So everyone can find something that they like. And it's unlimited refills for just $18.95 a month or $45 a week, which comes out to be just a little over 60 cents a day. So ultimately the customer has complete control of how much they pay per drink based on how often they use it. Next slide.
Awesome. So with that, the self-serve experience eliminates the need to wait in a line, right? Because of the RFID chip technology embedded in the bottle and also retrofitted into the machine, all you have to do is walk in, place your bottle in the machine. It will automatically unlock from reading your RFID chip and allow you to choose from over 200 flavors what drink you want to get. Next slide.
And with COVID right now, a lot of people have problems with touching things. And so our solution to that is to have a QR code around the machine. It's just embedded into the touchscreen. And so you can just take your phone out and scan that QR code, touch it, and open up a link on your phone. And from there, you can choose any flavor you want of the entire machine and pour it remotely just from your phone, which is really awesome. Next slide.
So the market, right? Half of Americans drink soda every day, with the average American spending over $850 on soft drinks per year. At Dixie State, there's over 12,000 students, not to mention all of the faculty that work here as well. And when we expanded the community, which we planned to do, there's over 150,000 members of the community, with the idea already being validated by companies like Swig and Fizz, showing that in the soda industry, there's room to grow and that we can become multi-million-dollar company. Next slide.
And so we've realized due to this that our next phase really is grow. If we're wanting to grow the business, and we're excited about it, and we're ready to see the next true potential that it has. And so we want to have, in the beginning, convenient locations across DSU. So this is our first machine right here, and this is on North Campus. But we're looking to have locations across Dixie State University campus, as well as the possibility of a partnership with a local business to have our machine in their location, just to kind of have some more possibilities in the community, as well as we hope to eventually expand outside of Southern Utah with our business. Next slide.
So like Devin was saying, that was our first machine there. It's at Brooks Stop in North Campus by Campus View Suites. We have the system set up, the machine there and working, and we're a profitable business right now. We've brought it to this point, but like Devin also said, we want to grow and we want to turn this business into something big, a multi-million-dollar company up the Wasatch Front, down into Arizona, and throughout the United States if we can. But what we don't have is the expertise of somebody like you who has taken a business from a startup phase and grown it into something big. We're looking for help in things like system efficiency, marketing, as well as just overall expansion to different locations and connections to different locations across the state and across the United States. So we ask for your help in growing Field Drinks, a few young entrepreneurs who want to make this thing big. So thank you. And do you have any questions?
Okay, great, thank you. Yeah, it looks like there's 2 questions. Was that first machine just modified with RFID programming?
Yes, it was modified for RFID programming, and basically the bottles have an RFID chip in them as well, so we have custom bottles that we've had produced.
Okay, and then does it expense ice as well?
Yes. Yeah, so you've probably seen the touchscreen machines in like McDonald's or Wendy's. It's like that, but it's the newest version that Coke has produced. So it's the Coke 9100 Freestyle, super responsive touch on the screen. But yeah, so it's that fountain dispenses ice and all of those 200 flavors.
Okay. Let's see, here's a question from Evan Thomas. Are there any competitors now?
There are no competitors as of right now in the subscription arena.
Yeah, so awesome question, Evan. That is why we are seeking the help right now, is because, right, it's hard to patent and say like, well, we want to patent this entire system, right? And so what we need is that the expertise of somebody who is ready to, I mean, we brought it to market, and now if we can just corner the market and grow quickly, then we think we have really, really good footing.
Okay, and can it dispense to a non-subscription customer for cash?
It can, because we sell single-use cups, which have an RFID chip on the bottom of those, just a one-time. And so that way, if they're wanting to do cash, they can do that as well.
And that's just purchased like a regular drink that you buy from the counter.
Okay, and then let's see, our final question is, if at multiple locations, will one subscription work anywhere?
Yes, at least as of right now. It would kind of depend on probably the business choices, because some places may or may not want their bottles to work other places, but it definitely has the potential to work at any location nationwide if that were how it was set up.
Great, okay. Well, thank you, well done. I don't see any other questions, and let's jump to the finale here. We'll pull up, we have a recommended criteria to consider as you vote. We will be, see Colette, we'll be opening up the voting option here now. Colette, do you have any special instructions for that you'd like to share?
No, we just really want everyone to focus on how well each team explained the problem, explained their solution to the problem, and expanded on the market size, and also just the quality of the team, explaining their experience, their openness, their charisma, etc. So using some of these recommended criteria, we'll now open up the poll.
Okay.
And actually, I'm going to have Leo pull up the poll. Leo, are you able to launch that poll?
Yes.
Looks like it's launched.
Okay, great. We'll give you just about 1 minute to make your selection. And as you can see, these are our first, second, and third place prizes. And Leo, do you want to let me know when we've got 30 participants on the call? Let me know when we've got the majority of people who voted.
Okay.
Everyone
Okay.
had a chance to cast their vote. How we looking, Leo? On the number?
We are at 62%.
Okay, we'll give everybody just about 10 more seconds to vote.
Okay.
Okay, it's closed.
Okay, so we have our results in. Thank you to all those who've participated today and voted. Thanks for bearing with us as we went slightly over time. Before we announce the results, I just want to once again thank my team, our staff who've worked so diligently to make this happen. Great magic that occurs here at the Innovation Plaza. And congratulations to everyone that presented today. And tremendous effort, tremendous innovation and ingenuity. So everyone is a winner today. We just have a few that will be getting a few more pats on the back. So congratulations to everyone that participated today. So our third place winner is, for a $500 cash prize, Loaded Locks. Congratulations, Connor. That's a $500 cash prize along with mentorship here. Second place is No Gag, Dip and Dab. Congratulations, Deshka. That's a $1,000 cash prize. And then our first place winner, which is $1,500 and free 6-month incubator office space here along with mentorship. That goes to OxySwitch. Congratulations, everyone, for participating today. Colette, do you want to share instructions for those who'd like to hang around for any breakout rooms? And there's our contact information to follow. But thank you again for participating and joining us again today. And we do have the ability to hang out longer.